Okay.
much as we like to see you concentrate
No.
over the notes in the Steinway. All right, so just look at me when
Okay.
you're talking, not at the camera.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about your collaboration with Pascal, how you came to collaborate with him, and maybe you want to just elaborate on that a little bit. And again, repeat the question and your answer, and keep your answers, you can talk as long as you want, but keep your answers short.
Short. Phrase is short.
Phrases. Exactly. So go for it. Talk about it, your collaboration with Pascal.
Pascal and I started to collaborate a few years ago. I don't quite remember what was the first thing that we did together, but I was always very curious of the ways that he had in his mind and his emotion about composing new songs, how they came about. More specific questions, yeah.
You want him to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, maybe the hybrid of genre.
Excuse me?
The hybrid.
What about the way? I guess what about the way Pascal writes or works? What attracts
Okay.
you to it?
You said you always have good taste in repertoire.
Oh, you have to speak louder, can't
You
you?
always have good taste in repertoire, or for picking up songs.
And that can lead into the next question, which is your kinship chemistry, why the two of you work well together. So you
Right.
can say about collaborating with him, you just said what attracted you to him initially. Maybe you just expand on that a tiny bit more, and that will take us into our next question to talk about why you two work so well together. What is this chemistry the two of you
Okay.
share?
Okay.
Go for it.
One of the things that attracts me to working with Pascal is that his taste for music is not very dissimilar to mine, although he comes with this other culture, the French culture. But we both like this kind of music that has beautiful harmonies and melodies, because from my Brazilian side. And I think that's a good mix. Let's see.
That's okay.
It's just difficult to elaborate.
The lyrics also.
Oh, yeah.
The storytelling.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
There's no problem.
I think Pascal is a great writer of lyrics, and both in French and in English. I understand a little French, so I can really appreciate his French writing. It sounds so beautiful. And his English writing is also incredible, very great ideas and very poetic. So that is really nice.
Okay. You mentioned just because his EPK, you can say that it's very unusual for you in your capacity to have such a relationship with a songwriter and a composer, another songwriter and composer, that you have this, you could say we have a kinship, we have a chemistry, it's not competitive at all, because we're very much on the same page, and we want to bring the same music to light type of thing, right? Okay, there we go. Well, you make it your own.
For instance, in one of the songs that we started to work, that turned out to be, I guess, the main song of the CD, the new CD, about the song of the picture of Raphael Ohayon. First, there was no title, and there was actually, I don't think that the lyrics came first. It came, if I'm not mistaken, Pascal came with a melody idea first of a theme. And he showed me the melody. I worked on some chords to that melody. Then I suggested that there could be another part, a bridge, to bring it to another level, to something else extra. Sometimes I think this is my biggest contribution, because to expand on his initial ideas. Later he came with the ideas for the lyrics, they were so interesting because it comes from a true story, and that's how this song was built in the end. I don't know if you want me to give an example.
I'm going to ask you a question now. Do having worked with musicians in the past, I would imagine it's pretty uncommon to have this level of chemistry between two people. It's rare, and that's why it's a unique relationship that you guys are hanging on to, because you work so well together. So I think we can just say that, we can just elaborate on that a little bit and just say, it's unique in the field of composing and music to have two people have that much on the same page, that much of the same taste, same goals for the music. So just say that, like along those lines, something you might want to say.
Yeah, I think it's really precious when you find a music partner that we can work so well together, the two of us. Not all the time you find people who are on the same page, like the two of us are, and we like the same kind of music. Our minds are pretty open to different kinds of music, actually. But when we come together composing, then we pretty much agree on where we want to go, and we're malleable enough to adapt to each other's directions.
Perfect. Yes? Yeah? Good. Thank you.
That's all?
Something else? You want to pick up a song?
Maybe
To dissect the song or whatever.
do you want to talk about the medleys?
Which one of them?
Last time you said I was an anthropologist of
Well, talk about the
in the choice of repertoire. Like you talk about the composition.
yeah, but which medley? Because
In general, all of them. Because on the album.
oh, okay.
And,
Yeah, okay. Yes.
You just
Okay. Can I start?
Yeah, of course. And keep looking at me. Don't look over
Okay.
there or there. Look at me.
Don't look at Pascal.
Okay.
Look at me.
Pascal comes with this incredible ideas of putting different songs together that I would never think of doing that. And not only that, he has this knowledge of songs that I don't know from his French culture and from his just listening to music the way I don't really listen to. So he puts together some medleys that are really so interesting. One of them that we do in the CD is a mix of a American jazz tune with an old traditional French song. Very beautiful. So he starts in English, and then the second song is in French. And we do that. He does this a few times, mixing things. There are different medleys in the CD. Another one is one when he mixes some of his Middle Eastern or North African heritage with some other influences, and they're always so interesting. I don't know where he gets that, but I admire that in him. Play?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. All right. Anytime.
So, you know, in the introduction, this will be like this sort of atmospheric
Okay.
entrance with the lyrics and the storytelling.
Okay.
So they'll go like da 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 da.
Like this.
Yeah. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Then it goes a little Middle Eastern, a little
Like what?
Oriental, a little
Uh.
da 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 da.
Ah, good.
Da 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 da.
And then the rhythm starts here, right? The
yeah,
groove.
repeat twice and then the groove.
Oh, repeat twice
yeah,
and
then
then.
you repeat that. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
And then after this part comes,
Yeah, then we do your.
I could expand it to another part, right?
Yeah,
To a bridge, like,
Yeah, that's cool.
right?
Yeah. That's
And have you thought of lyrics for this already?
yeah, I thought about those lyrics from.
Can you show it to me?
Yeah, so
I
it's
like to hear.
called
Yeah.
Picture of Raphael. And
Okay.
it's dedicated to my grandfather. So.
How does it go
if we-
then?
So if we go with the melody from the start, it'll be. It haunts me every night that I never got to know him. The way he lost his life, deported, killed, or missing, casualty of war, family torn apart. As they put him on the train, he wrote his last refrain. So then this will repeat, and then
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Can
yeah.
we redo the part where you start showing the lyric? I'm
Okay.
changing
Okay.
hands.
Okay.
I'll tighter on you guys. And plus I have
Tell us when,
Right.
okay? Let me ask you again if you have.
Yeah, yeah, you're good.
So you have lyrics for this already?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I wrote these lyrics about my grandfather.
Okay.
So it's called The Picture of Raphael. And it's about his story basically, and
Yeah.
I think what I told you about and the discovery.
Yeah.
So if we start with the atmospheric intro,
Okay.
you go like, it haunts me every night that I never got to know him. The way he lost his life, deported, killed, or missing, casualty of war, family torn apart. As they put him on the train, he wrote his last refrain. So
Then
this
you
this
repeat
repeats
that
with
part,
different
right?
lyrics,
And then goes to the.
So yeah, so
yeah.
the trick with the hook of the song, with the chorus.
Dun, 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 dun,
Picture of Raphael, Orion, cruise the whole world in search of the song. A picture of Raphael, Orion, show me the land of my heart and soul.
Oh,
Yeah,
and then there comes the bridge, and the bridge will be this.
so the bridge would be
These lyrics here.
yeah, I wrote French lyrics to your bridge.
Right.
I guess when
Like
you
can sing
yeah,
together, right?
I think when you wrote it, you're probably thinking Portuguese. So I wrote French lyrics to you. So
Il est parti un jour, fidèle à son amour. Il s'est enfui la nuit, fuyant la barbarie. Mourir pour son courage, fidèle à son image. Combattait pour les siens, méditerranéen.
So that goes back. Picture of Raphael, Orion, cruise the whole world in search of the sun. Picture of Raphael, Orion, show me the land of my heart and soul. So then you do a solo.
The solo, and then
we'll
after the solo.
we'll go back to the hook.
Okay.
Then we'll go back to the coda. We have this coda that kind of repeat the lyrics at the
Casualty
start.
of war, right.
Yeah.
And then
And then I suggest that at the end, you just play the melody on the piano,
and you sing
and I'm gonna
Raphael.
harmonize on Raphael like
Okay.
a cantor. Kind of. And I come in. Raphael, 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 twice. Raphael, 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 Raphael. Perfect.
Nice. Very nice. Beautiful.
Stay. I'll get some pictures.
Là, t'as de la matière, là, c'est bon? Avec ça.
C'est bien.
No earthly church has ever blessed or union. No state has ever granted us permission. No family bond has ever made us two. No company has ever earned commission. No debt was paid, no dowry to be gained. No treaty of the borderland of power. No semblance of the world outside remain. To stay the beauty of this nuptial hour. The secret marriage though is never spoken. The secret marriage never can be broken. Les enfants qui s'aiment s'embrassent debout contre les portes de la nuit. Et les passants qui passent les désignent des doigts. Mais les enfants qui s'aiment ne sont là pour personne. Et c'est seulement le rond qui tremble dans la nuit, excitant la rage des passants. Leur rage, leur mépris, leur rire et leur envie. Les enfants qui s'aiment ne sont là pour personne. Ils sont ailleurs, bien plus loin que la nuit, bien plus haut que le jour, dans l'éblouissante clarté de leur premier amour. No flowers on the altar, no white veil in her hair, no maiden dress to alter, no Bible up to swear. The secret marriage though is never spoken. The secret marriage never can be broken. Broken. Les enfants qui s'aiment. No earthly church has ever blessed our union. No state has ever granted us permission. No family bond has ever made us two. No company has ever earned commission. No debt was paid, no dowry to be gained. No treaty of the borderland of power. No semblance of the world outside remain. to sustain the beauty of this natural hour. The secret marriage, though, is never spoken. The secret marriage never can be broken. Les enfants qui s'aiment s'embrassent debout contre les portes de la nuit. Et les passants qui passent les désignent du doigt. Mais les enfants qui s'aiment ne sont là pour personne. Et c'est seulement leur ombre qui tremble dans la nuit, excitant la rage des passants. Leur rage, leur mépris, leur rire et leur envie. Les enfants qui s'aiment ne sont là pour personne. Ils sont ailleurs, bien plus loin que la nuit, bien plus haut que le jour, dans l'éblouissante clarté de leur premier amour. No flowers on the altar, no white veil in your hair, no maiden dress to alter, Bible love to swear. The secret marriage, though, is never spoken. The secret marriage never can be broken. Broken. Les enfants qui s'aiment. So, Shana Tova. Welcome to New York.
Alright, ready? And look at me.
C'est bon, tu m'entends bien?
I'm
Okay.
going to be listening to you, so you have somebody
Okay.
giving you feedback.
Okay.
So talk a little bit about the genesis of the album.
So this is my last album in New York. I started putting ideas together for this new album back in April, and as I was, as I started conceiving the album.
Alright, stop.
Okay.
Don't talk.
Why me to stop too? I have sound and I don't know why.
Don't look that way. Look only at me.
Okay.
Don't make it time. You want to make it timeless, so don't talk about dates or time.
Okay.
or anything
Okay.
like that.
Yeah. So when I started,
good
putting.
point. Michel, very, very good point.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to extend the shelf life of
Mm.
What's the problem?
Problem is that I have a sound. Don't.
Do you think it's the equipment that's behind
No,
me?
it comes from. You do you do something like this when you talk?
I can put my hands here.
Yeah, no, don't.
Or maybe on the piano.
It's super
Maybe on the piano.
It's super sensitive. Sound like a.
Yeah, maybe I can do this.
If you need, yeah.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
like I'm on an interview table.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, you look good.
Okay.
Yeah, you look great.
Okay.
No, I mean, what I mean is that it doesn't look fake if you do that. It's, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Misha?
So tell us a little bit about tell the public a little bit about the genesis of this album and what inspired you and what makes it unique.
So for this new album, the main inspiration behind this new project was actually a reconnection with the past, a reconnection with a figure, kind of like a mythical figure in my family. My grandfather, Raphael Ohayon, he was a singer, a poet, a polyglot, a Renaissance man who was born in North Africa. And unfortunately, I never got to know him because he died in the war. He was deported. He died in the camps in 1942. And what reconnected me with his memory and was was through an amazing story where I was contacted by a young girl in Egypt who I had no idea. I basically had no idea what she was. She contacted me on my Facebook music page, and she was doing research on him, on my grandfather, and turned out that we were related somehow through. I guess she was like, my grandfather was her great uncle, and as she was doing research on him, she connected with a painter whose work is specialized in genocide victims. And this painter had basically made this beautiful painting of my grandfather based on a picture, on an actual photograph that I posted on my website. So within basically a 2-hour conversation on Facebook, I was made aware that I have extended family in Egypt and that a painting of my grandfather was being exhibited in Paris.
That's an amazing story. So this is what created, so now maybe you want to talk about that. On the one hand, it's about a journey. It's about this album is about a journey. It's about a journey into the past with your grandfather, and it's about a journey into the future as you turn the page on your base of operations, moving transatlantic once again back to France, back to Paris. We'll say Paris, it sounds better than France.
Yeah, so my grandfather was, again, I never got to know him. I would have been my dream, but I sort of felt connected with him, you know, spiritually, musically actually. Through the music, I kind of reconnected with my Mediterranean, North African roots, and from what I know of him was that he was about him was that he was a wanderer. He had you know, wanderlust. He volunteered in World War I, so he spent time in Europe back then, and then he went to Europe. He wanted to relocate to South America or New York already back then. So in a way, there's a parallel with my journey. As you know, I moved to New York almost 2 decades ago now. So I've been French American or whatever, naturalized American for all this time. And as I'm about to relocate back there, I wanted this album to be really a transatlantic memoir. Ça, j'ai pas trop bafouillé sur
Non,
le,
c'est
sur
pas
le
du
truc.
tout, c'est quand tu bouges.
D'accord.
Quand tu bouges, j'entends un bruit. C'est dommage parce que c'était un bon
Donc il faudrait que je mette sur le
Non, non,
piano.
je veux vraiment pas que tu changes ton style.
A lazy here?
Tu vois? Non, c'est important, mais j'aime bien quand tu parles avec les mains. Je voudrais que quand même ça bouge pas ça.
Is that clear enough what I'm saying, Michel?
Can we take another take of that? I know it sounds.
Because I kind of improvised. Can
Yeah, I think talking about how you feel like you reconnected to him, how you're connected to him spiritually, and moreover musically.
Yeah.
This is, you know, a real driving force in the genesis of what's going on.
So what should I talk about again? What should I repeat?
I think we're going to talk about the girl in Egypt and all that you have, or you need to talk about.
I think that if you can go over it again.
So just go over again.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say again what makes this album unique.
Okay.
The genesis of this particular album and what makes it so special, unique, sort of globally and special to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the starting point of this album was a discovery, or rediscovery, I should say. I had a grandfather who was born in North Africa, in Algeria. He was a cantor, he was a singer of traditional Spanish Jewish songs. He was a poet, a polyglot, a painter too, I think, a true Renaissance man, as you will call it nowadays. but unfortunately I never got to know him because he died in the war. He died in the concentration camps in 1942. But I always felt connected with him spiritually and more so musically. So this was something that was always, there, and that I wanted to explore more at some point and really celebrate. And what triggered that celebration was a connection that was made in a very random and wonderful way. When I started this album, basically, I was contacted on Facebook by a young girl in Egypt, in Cairo, who I didn't know about. And she contacted me because she was doing research on him, on my grandfather. And she had seen a picture, a photograph of him, posted on my musical website, pascalito.com. And she, with that picture, basically, she herself connected with the painter, Francine Méran, whose work is, who dedicates her work to genocide victims. And with that photograph, she made this beautiful painting of them that was actually exhibited in Paris. So within a few hours of conversation on Facebook, actually, I was made aware that I have extended family in Egypt because this girl is actually related to me. Her grandfather was my grandfather's nephew. And I was made aware that a painting of my grandfather was being exhibited in Paris. So that was really an amazing, inspiring story. And it was the starting point of this album. And the picture of Raphael became the title of the album and the title of the main track, of the main theme.
Okay, now talk about you can say another.
The parallel between
his wanderlust and yours, how it brought you from Paris to New York.
Yeah.
And back again, and just that whole bit.
As I said, my grandfather was born and raised in North Africa, but he really was a wanderer. He had the wanderlust, that very free-spirited man who wanted to explore the world, and not just of opportunities, but just, other cultures. And he was multilingual. He was kind of a connector in North Africa between different communities, the Jews, the Muslims, the Christians, the Spanish, the French. And so he actually volunteered in World War I, so he had traveled in Europe back then. And I guess in the 40s he wanted to relocate. He wanted to move to Caracas or New York, and I guess France was just closer, and it was Algeria being a French colony. It was unfortunately it was at the wrong time. It was during the occupied period of France. So in a way, there's a parallel between his journey and my journey, because I was born and raised in France from a Mediterranean background, and I relocated to New York almost 2 decades ago now. And so my music is basically a reflection of this journey, of this transatlantic influences, mutual influences. And as I'm now about to relocate back to my roots, to my homeland, my hometown, this album, this homage really became an emergency, an emotional urgency.
Perfect. All right, very nice. So let's talk about.
Should we talk about?
J'essaie de pas te.
D'accord.
C'est parce que tu
Should we talk about the répertoire,
Right, so what do you think is important to know about you?
the
at this
cast,
point?
the cast?
So we talked about the roots of this album, both
Yeah.
in terms of what made it come to life and why. And you want to talk more about
Maybe the cast on the album, or should it be?
You can talk a little bit about the music. So why don't you
Yeah,
segue
the choice of
Why
repertoire.
don't you segue in from the music
Yeah.
into the way that this was produced and the team. So in other words, the casting is going to talk.
Yeah.
Is going to circle back to what
to
your
the
music
production
is
and to the
and
to
are
the
musically to
yeah
begin
yeah
with, and just say, the casting for this particular album is 100% reflecting my musical aspirations to begin with. It's very much a hybrid, a mixture. That's who I am. That's what my music is about, and it's really well reflected in this particular team or cast that was put together to produce this album, which was produced blah
organically and
Yeah.
okay. So the choice of repertoire for this album of material is
I'm sorry, can you start again?
okay.
Sorry, stop. Yeah, you're good.
So for this album playlist, the material is about 2/3 original. So these are original songs that I wrote or that I also co-wrote with Luis Simas, my accompanist and musical director, who's been my musical director for the past 5 years now. So it's a very close and collaboration. The songs, my original songs on this album are more so in English than they were on prior albums. Although there's always a little bit of French in it, so it's a really bilingual or bicontinental, I would say, kind of selection. For the non-original songs, or the cover, I don't really like the word cover songs, but I try to feature actually a few medleys on the album where you have an American song and a French song. There's even a medley with an American jazz song and a Mediterranean, Middle Eastern folk song. And again, the idea is really to sort of trace a bridge, between the two continents and going back and forth. And so I thought it would be an interesting exercise to do this. And of course the songs match somehow. They match atmospherically, they match lyrically, they match musically too, of course. And for my second studio album 5 years ago, a critic from Jazz Times, Christopher Loudon, called me a multicultural music anthropologist. So I thought it was a cool title to live up to, and I try to be worthy of that title in that new project.
Perfect.
So then I can talk about the team, right?
Although I think that was a nice end, you might want to switch it around.
Oh, of course.
I
Yeah.
think that should be the last line.
Yes.
And for in terms of music genre, you always, as an artist, especially when you're an independent artist, people always ask you, oh, what kind of music, what kind of genre do you play or do you feature on the album? Well, here you really have an hybrid of, it is a jazz album in the way it's produced, with it's mainly around the quartet, my Nostalgia quartet, and then we have two guests on the album as well. So it's done in a jazz studio, Michael Braby's jazz studio in Brooklyn, in Park Slope. Someone I always wanted to work with, but the repertoire is not, straight jazz. It's again, it's a hybrid of world music. You have Brazilian music. You have influences, at least. You have Middle Eastern music. You have old jazz, new jazz. You have chanson, and you have what I like to coin as chamber pop, which is a mix of sort of classical influences and classic chic and pop appeal. So that's for the repertoire. To be able to put it together, I needed to cast, the right musician, the right team. So it's a very international cast, and what's interesting, in line with the theme of being an immigrant or an expatriated person, a transatlantic subject. The cast of this album is very international. None of the musicians are actually American-born. We all American resident, New Yorkers, adopted New Yorkers. And so we have a Latin component. Again, Luis Simas, my musical director, is from Rio. We have a bass player, Aleco Rice, who's also from Brazil, from another region, Grande do Sul. We have the fantastic new drummer, who's a great addition to the band, who's from Israel, Nadav Snir Zalniker. And we have two beautiful female guests, beautiful in looks and sound. They're wonderful artists. We have a flutist from Poland, Basia Blanska, and we have an amazing vocalist.
Let's go back
Okay.
about. It was really. I don't want to wreck the thing. You can start by Luis stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
from Luis, about
Luis,
Luis.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, please.
So there's a Latin component in the team. As I mentioned him, and I think you heard his interview. We have Luis Simas, who's been my musical director and accompanies for 5 years now. He's from Rio. He's from Brazil. Our bass player, Aleco Rice, who I've been playing with for almost 4 years now. He's also from Brazil, from Grande do Sul. We have a fantastic new drummer who's from Israel, Nadav Snir Zalniker. And we have two charming female guests, both European. One being Basia Blanska, she's a fantastic flutist from Poland. And my dear friend and great inspiration of mine, Tessa Suter, who's an amazing vocalist and lyricist from England, but she's been an adopted New Yorker for probably as long as I've been. And I'm really happy that she's on this album, and she's singing 2 duets actually with me. And it's a great color and texture to have on the album. So it's very beneficial for me and inspiring to work with such top-notch musicians because it takes me as a singer and a composer to another level. I'm probably the most unschooled musician in the team. I hope I'm not the uncool one. But they're all professional musicians. They've been working in their field and domain for years. Until not such a long time ago, I had a full-time job in a very different world. I was in finance and consulting, and music was always on the side. It's been part of my family for decades. And so for me, I always felt like a more intuitive kind of artist, kind of musician.
Can we stop here and can we do it more concise?
Okay.
And I don't think it should be not cool. What do you think? It shouldn't be.
No, I shouldn't. You can scratch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
that's,
Just say that you're honored to work with such a professional
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
That technically you are the most unschooled because a musician, because you haven't had.
The formal. I want to turn this as a
Just say I
didn't receive a formal
just say
education
I'm
training.
formal, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you said this one.
Musically cultured, but not
Right,
musically
right,
educated.
exactly.
That sort of thing. Yeah. It's a great honor for me to work with such top-notch musicians, and I learn a lot working with them. I improve, not just artistically but technically. Unlike them, I did not receive a formal musical education, although music has been in my family and my blood, for ages. So I like to think of myself as musically cultured and musically nurtured. I hope it doesn't sound pretentious, and I hope it comes across throughout this album. This album that I'm about to share with the public, of course, as I explained, has a strong personal resonance, but I hope it will have a universal resonance, because I'm sure people will relate to reconnecting with their roots, reconnecting with the loved ones, with the lost ones. So what started with a sad memory, almost, I wouldn't say it became a joyous project. I mean, it did become a joyous project. It was a lot of fun doing it, but also it reached some really cathartic moments where I felt, I don't mean to sound overly mystical, but at some point I really felt like I was giving voice to his voice, or maybe being haunted or inspired by his voice, and this was really this is something that I will treasure for the rest of my artistic life, as long as it can be, hopefully. And that's something that I had to do. And I think the fact that I had to do it before leaving New York was, added more intensity and drive to the urgency, this emotional and artistic urgency to produce this album, to put it together, and give life to Raphael's memory.
One more. Just do a soundbite of just you saying, I felt like this album was my way of giving voice to his voice, which was cut off.
Too short, right?
Which was cut short.
Okay.
In the most cruel and violent way.
Okay. I felt like this album was a way for me to give voice to his voice, to Raphael's voice that was, violently cut short. And his life was cut short in a very tragic, revolting, barbaric way. And hopefully, those times won't come back again. But I don't know why I dwell. I shouldn't dwell.
That's why I'm going to France, right?
Yeah, I shouldn't dwell on the Holocaust. Let me cut that.
Wait a second, isn't that what happened to him? He had to relocate to France and look what happened to him.
Is he sadomaso? Now let me cut that, because that's it's like when I improvise, I go there.
All right, so just go back. I just want a clean.
Yeah, clean
I want a clean
statement.
I want a clean
Yeah,
statement
yeah.
of you saying, this is a very personal for me, because I feel that with this album, I'm giving voice to Raphael, no, say his. Say a voice to Raphael's voice, which was so violently cut short.
Whose life was violently cut short?
Whose life was whose life was
Whose
that?
life,
Was
among,
that
well, you could say his life along with many, many others, was so violently cut short.
And that's it? Cut short here? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I felt like through his album, I was able to give voice to his voice, to Raphael's voice, whose life was so violently and tragically.
You can add another adjective, that's fine. So don't say his.
Okay.
Just go directly and say Raphael.
Okay. So I felt like through this album, I was able to give voice to Raphael's voice, whose life was so violently and tragically cut short.
Yeah, that's his voice.
And I did use the cathartic before.
You said
Okay.
cathartic already.
Cathartic, yeah, I did, right? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you said cathartic. This was a cathartic journey for you. No, I think that's good.
And I used the urgency, right?
You used
The-
urgency,
okay.
you used trail, you used
So Tessa, tell us how you got to work on this album.
Oh my goodness. Well, I met Pascalito, I can't actually even remember, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I was playing at Cornelia Street Cafe in New York, and he arrived with his fiancée. Am I allowed to say that?
That's my girlfriend.
You're right. Scrap that. Scrap.
We
Scrap.
met-
Yeah.
we're-
Cut.
Is he
Cut.
not or anything? No.
No.
Okay, cool.
we met in
Cut.
2008.
Okay.
So that's,
Oh, was it 2008? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I met Pascalito in 2008, and he came to one of my gigs, and he came up to me afterwards and said how much he'd enjoyed it, and then he used to come to all my gigs. I don't think I knew that he was a vocalist straight away. I can't remember, but anyway, somehow, you know, over the years, I found out that he was a singer, and I think I introduced him at a fabulous gig he had, which was absolutely packed, at this place called Le Poisson Rouge, and it was a marvelous night. And he's very kind of adventurous. Like, he had all these fabulous instruments. He had this beautiful Asian woman playing the violin, and another very beautiful singer, and it was just very interesting. Kind of, I like how he thinks. He's very unusual, and he has unusual tastes. One of the things he said he liked about me was that I reminded him of this singer called Yeon Sun Na, who I had never heard of, and I was like, really? Okay, let me check her out. And I had a look on the video, and I couldn't really see it, and then I discovered her later on my own, and I was like, wow, this is my favorite singer of all time. So he has this wonderful taste. He's very imaginative. And so when he asked me if I would be on that album, I was of course terribly excited and said, yes, please, thank you.
What do you like about the songs that you?
Oh
you
God, I
feature
love the
on?
songs. I love these songs. I think he is a natural songwriter. I mean, I'm not just saying that because he's had his songs on TV shows. Really, truly. I want to see this one and Solestalgia. Sorry about my pronunciation. On some TV show or movie even. I love the arrangement. I personally hope that this is the opening song, because Luis Sismas doing the doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee is just a fabulous kind of moody, it's a very moody song. I love the French coming in. It's just dramatic. French people have drama and passion. And so I was really thrilled to be part of this. Very proud, actually, of these songs. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you.
He's going to ask you a question.
You asked me a question. Yeah, go ahead.
So what was it like for you working on this album?
It was different than most of the projects I do. I do a lot of Brazilian music, I do a lot of jazz, and this was sort of a hybrid in that it also had all the French and English in one song, which I enjoyed. Cut. I still can't get your hard drive off of here. This is crazy. You don't want to leave this project. You just want to keep working, right? It's been really fun working on this project. Really enjoyed it. What can I say? What would Tessa say? Tessa would do something really elaborate. It's a great group of guys working in the band. We all got along. We worked hard.
Was it a collaborative production?
Yes, it was a collaborative production.
The word man, exactly what I wanted to say.
I think it had a lot of different textures.
A lot of different textures. Yes. Am I tired? Yes. Are we all tired?
And what was it? You get something about organic acoustic.
It had a very organic acoustic sound. We didn't really use electronic instruments. It was just sort of, we had a section of the piece that Citizen where it sounds like all of a sudden it's 1980s punk rock, and then we go to samba, and then we go to Debussy. Wow, these words are just coming to me. You're good.
I should have wrote down here.
Right. And
I brought the teleprompter.
Look at the prompter. I started as a young baby and I was very cute and then something happened. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.